And topping the news at 5:30 on this Friday, there are two major projects circling the city of Buffalo, the billion-dollar Route 33 project and a new soccer stadium in Buffalo. But both projects need an environmental impact survey conducted.
For what that means and entails, we're joined now by Dr. Lauren Fisher, a professor with UB's Department of Urban and Regional Planning. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Okay, so we know with this 33 project, there was an environmental assessment done, but now there is a request to do an environmental impact study. Can you explain the difference between those two for us?
Absolutely. So since 1970, all major projects have been required to undergo an analysis of their environmental impacts. This goes through two processes. The first part of the process is that they have to do an environmental assessment, an EA. And the EA process is a scaled back analysis to determine if there are enough potential environmental impacts that it needs to go to a fuller, robust environmental impact statement process. In the case of the Route 33, the New York State DOT had originally decided that the environmental assessment did not warrant or did not trigger a larger environmental impact statement process. And with the judge's ruling in February, disagreed with the state DOT's decision on that. And so now we'll be entering the environmental impact statement process, which is a more robust analysis of what the impacts of this major investment might be in the city of Buffalo.
So, Dr. Fisher, when we're talking about an environmental impact statement, what does that entail? How long does that process typically take? Now, we know that this is a sliding scale depending on the severity of any kind of environmental concerns, the size of the project, the scope, residents, all those things. But when it comes to a project like this, what are we talking about in terms of both time and an approximate cost, if you will, for a project like this?
Yeah, very important questions. We have both a federal review process that's guiding this, since there's federal money involved, as well as New York State's state environmental quality review process. Those go together complementary, so they're not necessarily doing two analyses. But for the New York State analysis, the rules do require that agencies consider potential environmental impacts as well as social and economic factors that may come up as a result of this new project. When we look at the average time to create an environmental impact statement, there was a report that was just released this January by the federal government that found that the median to complete this kind of analysis would be about 2.2 years. And importantly, that's a 20% reduction from what it used to take us about a decade ago. So we are gaining more efficiencies in the process. But as you mentioned, it really depends on the complexity of the project. Some things that can make projects go longer are changes to what's being considered in the analysis, community concerns, or funding, access to funding to conduct the analysis.
I mean, originally Go ahead.
I was going to say the question about how much it would cost is a little less well known. This is not something that gets reported through the federal grant process, and so we don't have a lot of data on what a cost for a project might be, but similar to time, it does go up with the complexity of it.
All right, Dr. Fisher, thank you. We were originally reporting that this project could start in the fall. Obviously, there were a lot of issues at stake there, and now we're knowing that there's this environmental impact statement that has to be done. We don't even know when that's going to start. We've not been told that information yet, and you're telling us once that does start, it could be 2.2 years on average for that to be done. So we are seeing this project moved way out into the future now, this 33 project. What could somebody maybe find in an environmental impact statement? Maybe, obviously you don't know what they could find in this specific case, but what could they maybe find in this case with the 33 project?
Historically, environmental impacts go through the first phase is called a scoping phase. And during that scoping phase, the agency that's proposing the project works with community leaders to figure out exactly what that analysis is going to include. But if we look at projects that New York State DOT is doing in other parts of the state, we can see that they're looking at their regional and local economic impacts. They're looking at impacts on wetlands and surface waters. But they're also looking at how projects like this might impact historical or cultural resources. And so we're required to document what that may be through the environmental review process.
Dr. Fisher, do environmental impact statements, do they have the potential to affect a project's scope? In other words, this proposed project, $1 billion plus, 0.8 of a mile. They're going to cover it, tunnel it, so on and so forth. Does an environmental impact statement on a project of this size have the potential to change drastically or significantly a proposed project and or derail it completely?
So it really depends on how the agency decides to handle that first part of the scoping process, and how much community engagement and feedback they let during that will determine to a large extent what that additional analysis is going to look like. As part of the environmental review process, agencies are required to identify problems that they think might occur through the project and then propose solutions for mitigating those problems. So often what happens during this process is if there are issues that are found, they come to an agreement on how those issues will be mitigated, even if the project does move forward.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, for explaining all of that. Very good information. I think probably the biggest thing to note that this is going to take a while.